Okay, well, welcome everybody. Again, this is preparing for your junior year, what you need to know. This is geared for the class of 2022, rising juniors. Woohoo, you guys are halfway through your high school career. Junior year is really a big year, and we're going to talk a lot about why it's so important for you. But the main reason is that's the last year. If you plan on applying to college, is the last year that when you're going through this application process, the colleges will see on your high school transcript. So it's kind of the peak, the pinnacle of your high school career, where you're showing all your potential. So it's really important that you do some work, especially over the summer. And that's the main point, that there are some things you can be doing this summer to help you be better prepared for that junior year. Was I just muted that whole time, or did I just mute myself? Did you, thumbs up, did you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, I don't know how I did that. I thought I was advancing the PowerPoint and then it said, you are muted. Okay, so what are we going to be going over this evening? First, talk about kind of how are you going to determine what your plan is for after high school. These last 2 years of your high school career are going to fly by. I know a lot of students are like, oh my gosh, I'm only a sophomore. Junior and senior year happen like that. And we want to make sure that you start thinking about now, because this is a great opportunity for you to start planning so that you can really realize all your dreams and goals for after high school. We're going to talk about how can you figure out what your strengths and your interests are to help you determine careers that might be a good fit. We're going to talk about having choices and how decisions you make now can either limit or increase the number of choices that you have for your post-secondary chances, and what are the pathways that are going to give you the options that you deserve and you need to carry out the lifestyle that you want. We're going to take a minute about reflecting about where you are now. Remember, you're halfway through your high school career. You really only have one more year to finish off your transcript for colleges. So what are the things that can help you be a little bit more, what's the word I'm thinking of? I have a word in my brain, it's not coming out of my mouth. But how can you make yourself more marketable to the schools that you're interested in? And then again, what can you be doing to keep all your options open and explore some of these areas? So that's what we're going to be going over tonight. All right, so let's talk about where you're headed. And hopefully, I believe we have some parents who've signed up for tonight. So students, if you're here on your own, these are things we want you to kind of ask yourself and reflect upon, take some time. You know, a lot of seniors tell us, even at this time of the year, that they have no idea really what they want to do. They've just been kind of going through the motions, taking the next step. And to be honest, to not know what you want to do is normal. But instead of thinking about figuring out now what it is that one career you want to have, because most of the careers, when you guys are in your mid-20s, they haven't even been created yet. Our world is changing every day, technology, medicine, you know, there are things that we haven't even dreamed of yet. So we want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do now and take the time to reflect, not to figure out exactly what that one career is, what are the options that interest you, and eliminate things that you feel aren't good for you. So here's some questions that you can ask yourself or parents, you know, bring up during dinner conversations when you have a long car ride with your student. It's a good way to start digging into thinking about what are some good careers. So the first question is, what do you value? What's important to you? Do you enjoy helping people? Is that the most important thing to you? Is money super important to you? Do you like to be active? Do you like to use your brain and be thinking and challenged? What are the things that you value and are important to you that should match up in terms of your career? What is it that you enjoy doing? If you had 1 hour of free time how would you want to spend that 1 hour? Do you like to curl up with a book? Do you like to go visit with your friends? Do you like to cook? Do you like to be creative? What are those things that you enjoy spending your time doing? What are your best subjects? And kind of relates to your strengths as well. All the time, I have students tell me that they're going to be a doctor or an engineer, and yet if you look at their report card, they are not very good at math or science. In my head, I think, how is this going to work out for them? Because most of the courses that they would then take in college would be math and science courses. So you want to make sure that you're going to be studying something that you really enjoy doing and that you're going to be feeling like you're achieving your best and not something that's a struggle for you. And then what kind of lifestyle do you want to live when you're in your 20s and 30s? Do you want to be able to own your own home, have a fancy car, be able to take vacations? Are you okay being with your family, having an apartment, hanging out with your friends? So trying to weigh those out so that you get a sense about how much money you're going to need to earn in order to support that lifestyle. And these are all really important questions. How do we do this? Here's some tools to help you figure this out. So the first 3 tools I'm going to talk about, I have screenshots for all of them. The first one is Ohio Means Jobs, and that's ohiomeansjobs.com. It's a resource State of Ohio's put on. If you see, it's kind of hard to see from here, but the first upper left-hand corner, the top one there, is a screenshot of where we want you to go. So when you go to log in, you want to say you're an individual, a K-12 student, and then it's going to show up to the screen like this. If you see that green backpack where it says sign in, you can also create an account there. All of these assessments and tools to help you figure this out, you can store and save there, so you can always go back. You can save careers you're interested in. On the top, there's 3 search bars where you can put in a career. That's actually a search bar to find a job, and sometimes students find it real fascinating to see what the job market is like and how much money they could earn, and are there jobs nearby that they could find in the area that they're interested in. But it's not going to help you plan your career. So there's an Explore It and a Plan It tab, and those are the ones I mainly use with students. But under Explore It, the first top of that page is all assessments that help you ask those questions that we were just talking about. And as a result of answering the questions for each of those assessments, they're going to give you some career pathways or specific occupations that would be a good fit for you. Now, over the years of doing this, sometimes I had a young lady once go through some of these assessments, and she's like, oh, I don't like any of these jobs. This sucks. The one assessment she did told her she should be a professional fisherwoman. And she's like, I don't like to do anything like that. But if you dig down a little further in them, there's also a section of related occupations. And she never thought about being an environmental scientist. But that was one of those related occupations. She's like, I could really see myself doing that. I never would have thought of that. So if you get these assessments back and you hate them, there's 2 things I want to ask yourself. One, did you answer those questions honestly about who you are? A lot of times students answer these questions about who they think they want to be. I know I have a 25-year-old who wants to be a wealthy businesswoman, and that was what she was going to do. And she hated her college courses. She finally graduated, but she had to change majors to where she was helping people. That's what she's good at. But all these questions she would answer, she put about money and working in an office, all these things she really hated. And they would spit back to her things that were not necessarily what she was good at, but what she wanted to do. And then digging into those related careers. So you have to answer them honestly. The second tool I want to share about is My Next Move. And on My Next Move, that's sponsored by the U.S. Department of Labor. And again, very similar. Another great way, more assessments, more resources to figure out who you are. Both of these tools will share what you would earn in a career. You could dig into the careers themselves, what the job outlook is. And then the other tool I want to share, which is below the Ohio Means Job, is Naviance. Now, that tool is only available for you if your school has a subscription to it. So you want to make sure and find out if your school is using it. If your school is, chances are you should already know, because you probably would have been exposed to it both in 9th grade and now in 10th grade. But again, really some great assessments and ways to research careers there. So these 3 tools will also help you research careers. So once you have an idea of careers that fit your interests and your strengths, finding out what would you do in those careers. So you can use these 3 tools to do that as well. College Board also has a tool called Big Future. And next year, if you use this tool, you could also maybe potentially earn a scholarship for college as a junior. So I want to make sure I reference it. So it's another way for you to find out what would you be doing day to day in the job, how much money could you earn, what are the types of education that you need for these careers. And that's really important. A lot of these tools will share the level of education you need, what would you major in, how long would you have to study, names of specific colleges and universities where you can start your studies. So they're all really good for that as well. And then not only do you want to look at careers, but you want to start trying them on, because it's, again, really important to eliminate careers that you're not really interested in. So here are some concrete ways that you can try on careers. I'm going to say that I know this year it's going to be a little different because of the social distancing. Some of this may be hard to do today, but hopefully as summer progresses and things get back to normal, you are going to be able to do some of these things. So the first one is volunteer. Find an opportunity that would be in your field. I know in Parma, a lot of students really want to work as veterinarians, and they volunteer quite a bit at the animal shelter. Or you might be interested in business, and you could help a nonprofit in their office and doing some of the business management. Or you enjoy working, think you might want to be a teacher and volunteer in a summer camp. So there's lots of great opportunities to do that. Again, networking, and we're going to talk a bit off and on tonight about networking, but asking teachers, guidance counselors, your parents, friends of the family, your church community, of places that they might know to volunteer. Now, there is a resource. I didn't type it on here because it came to me the other day. It's called DoSomething.org, and you can earn scholarships from doing this. They have campaigns, and all of their campaigns right now are virtual, so you can do them with the COVID-19 at this current point in time, where you can be doing service projects. And a lot of these service projects, even if you're kind of taking the lead, again, it's going to give you a sense if you like that type of career. The other good point about volunteering right now, especially as a sophomore, is it helps you build your resume. So when you're applying for colleges, you're going to want to make sure that you're able to list other things that you do besides go to school and be a student. So it helps you build your resume. And it's also one of the #1 reasons for outside scholarships. So there's a lot of scholarships at colleges that have to do with your GPA and your test scores, but there are also scholarships that outside organizations sponsor. And doing community service, volunteering, is one of the #1 reasons for some of those big money scholarships. So it's a great way to earn money for college besides figuring out if a career could be potential. Shadowing. So a shadow is when you go and you follow a person around. Some people shadow for just a few hours. Other people will set up a whole week of shadowing. But when you do a career shadow, you're finding out more about that one specific person's pathway and how they ended up in that job, and then seeing what they do day to day. You might even be able to do it virtually right now, where you even just sit down and interview a person and find out what they do day to day. The more you Discover about your careers. Again, the more you're going to be able to determine if that is a potential fit for you right now, or if it's something you're not interested in. Again, it also helps you build your network. So it's going to help you connect with people who might be able to create opportunities for you in the future. Clubs. You can have join a club both in your school or outside of your school. But a lot of these extracurricular activities, again, reinforce if a career is a good fit for you. I had a student several years ago who really, really wanted to become a music teacher, but she didn't find that out until she was in her school choir. And it really helped reinforce that it was something she was passionate about and wanted to continue to do. So participating in clubs helps reinforce what your interests are, and it helps connect you with potential careers. It also, again, helps build your resume. And then opportunities at school. So it's not clubs, but it's enrichment opportunities. So at your high school, your counselors are great resources. So there are summer programs. There are other one-time only programs where you can go and be a part of it for a day. It's often announced in your school announcements, or your counselors might send you an email, but taking advantage of opportunities that your school shares with you, again, helps you network, but also will help you discover if a career is a good fit. So it's really important that as opportunities present themselves, you take advantage of those. All right, I have a picture here of a lot of doors. And a lot of students don't realize that you're holding the keys to all these doors right now. And our goal is by your senior year is that your key that you have in your hand would open any door you would walk up to. But some of the decisions that you're making now may keep that lock from turning once you put your key in. So we're going to talk about what are the things colleges look for in terms of admissions in a little bit. But I also want to kind of talk about taking the courses now, and the best resource to figure out if you're on track with your courses, the right pathway is your school counselor. So there are basically 3 levels of courses at most high school. And the first one is the general college prep. So you're doing everything you need to graduate. You're going to meet all the requirements for most colleges to be admitted. You're kind of going along with the flow, and you're taking the courses that are prescribed for you. The next level is career technical courses, and for most students, they start taking them in their junior year. So if you are thinking now and reflecting about what your plan is for next year, and you're like, oh, maybe I really, really, really want to do a project lead the way. A lot of school systems have that, and learn more about engineering. You may want to consider before the school year ends reaching back to your school counselor and seeing if there's anything you can do to try to get into some programs. But the career technical courses, some of them help prepare you for further study, post-secondary, and some of them will earn you a certificate that right when you graduate, you can get right into that workforce. So exploring those, there are some career technical courses at many high schools that are only 1 year as well. So figuring out if those might be a good fit, especially if you're like 4 years of high school is enough, I want to be done with it, then these career technical courses are a good path for you to get into a field right away. And then honors, advanced placement, and college credit plus courses. They increase your rigor. They will let you apply to some more selective schools. They will allow admissions officers to see that you challenge yourself, and they don't expect everyone to be an A student in challenging courses. B's and C's are fine too. So honors is kind of like the first tier. You're taking a little bit more of a challenge. Your teachers from your high school are teaching those. Advanced placement, those are courses that you can take where at the end of the course, you would take a test, and depending on your score of that test, you could earn college credit for those as well. Many students take them junior and senior year. There are some students who take them sophomore year. Your teachers from your school would teach those as well. It depends on your school what advanced placement classes are available, depending on the teachers that they have available and the interest in those courses. They are universally accepted by almost every college, but again, the hitch is you have to get that score on that test. There are lots of resources now to help students prepare for those tests. So if that's something you're interested in, it's a great way to start your college pathway. College Credit Plus would be when you would take college courses. They would be kind of sponsored or paid for by your school system, and you would take them at a local college or university. Again, school systems have relationships with the colleges, so you would have to talk to your guidance counselor about that. And again, for many schools, that was something that you did in early winter to turn in the paperwork to be able to do this. But it's something that if you're interested in, you may want to see, because again, this is a different kind of year. There might be some flexibility with that. But with College Credit Plus, you would take that college course, and if you pass it successfully, you would earn those credits. For most public universities in Ohio will accept most College Credit Plus credits. More selective schools may not accept all of them or might accept a portion of them. So you would want to research, but again, it shows rigor, so I don't think there's a downside to taking any of those types of courses. And then again, if you're taking college prep courses, that is fine as well. You want to make sure that you're doing everything to stay on track for graduation. All right, so what credentials are you going to need to have the most options for you? So here's the first thing. You want to do your research. And again, those tools that I mentioned a few slides back, Ohio Means Jobs, My Next Move, Navion's Big Future, are going to give you those specifics and help you get that research done. But what level of education will you need? What types of courses are you going to have in order to be ready for that? What colleges or universities have the area of study that you would need or the major that you would need to pursue that career? Many careers have a couple of different pathways in terms of majors. So to start investigating colleges and looking at colleges, because the next step is taking some of those colleges and looking at the profile for admitted students. So colleges share the profile for students and the average grade point average, any specifically recommended high school courses, and then in terms of admission testing, what their average scores are. So remember what I said earlier, even though you're halfway through your high school career, next year, your junior year, is really the GPA colleges are going to see. So a lot of students tell me how, 9th and 10th grade, they were, not too serious. They made some mistakes. They had some drama in their lives, but now, they really want to be a certain career, and their dream school needs a GPA of 3.4, and they're going to make it happen. If you decide you're going to make it happen your senior year, colleges won't see that when you're applying. So next year, I call junior year sometimes a turnaround year. If you need a turnaround year, next year is the year to improve your grade point average. High school courses. So I had a young man 4 years ago whose dream was to become an engineer, and his dream school was Case Western. We went to a college visit in a group setting with an after-school club. And during that visit, they talked about how in order to be admitted to Case, you had to have 2 years of foreign language. He was a senior. He had only taken one because that's all he needed for graduation, he felt. he wasn't even really considered by CASE because he was missing one whole year of foreign language. So it's good to figure that out this summer so you can take some steps if you need to remediate it. Other things you're going to want to think about is some colleges are going to want 4 years of math, and not every high school requires that. So looking to see what are those things that are going to be required for your, not only for the college, but the majors you're interested in. And then admission testing. So some schools are test optional, and this year more and more schools are moving to be test optional because of the challenges with standardized testing and sessions getting canceled due to social distancing. But you need to know now what that means. What is test optional? So test optional at some places just means they're only going to look at your grade point average. And that would also impact money. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can for that grade point average, because it also influences merit scholarships at colleges and universities. But if a school is test optional, they may require for a student to write an additional essay. They might require a student to turn in a graded paper with the teacher's comments on it. And junior year would be a great year to save a great paper. A lot of students, again, don't realize it and they don't save anything, and then it's time to apply for college and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything to use. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the requirements for admission testing for your school. Other schools will require an ACT or SAT score. Ohio State, Miami University, they both require those. Again, doing what you need to do to prepare for those. Next year in October, you're going to have a chance to take the PSAT, which is great practice for that. Many school systems offer it during the school day. If your school system does offer the PSAT, you only have to show up on the day it's being administered. If your school system does not, there are schools that offer a Saturday test. I know Parma schools offer a Saturday test usually. St. Ignatius usually gives a Saturday test. So finding that out, and then you would have to sign up at that school. And then again, College Board's website would let you know what schools have Saturday testings. Also, some more selective schools typically encourage and recommend students to take subject tests on the SAT so that you can kind of show off what you know. Not only are they going to recommend that you take them, but they might, depending on your major, give you some specific suggestions. For example, many schools for engineering want a math and a science course in that test and that subject testing. A lot of students I have seen don't realize it. They take a course their junior year, and then senior year they figure out they needed the subject test. So I'm going to use this example because I've seen it play out. You took physics your junior year of high school. You took AP physics, and you did really well in the course. Summer vacation came, fall happens, and all of a sudden you're looking at your schools, and in December you realize, I better take a subject test. Now it's been a good 8 months since you've studied anything about physics. So it's really good if you're thinking about some selective schools and they are going to recommend that you take a subject test, that you take it near when you take the courses. So thinking about that junior year and planning it out this summer would be a good thing. So how can you be a better fit for the colleges and universities? And we've touched on some of this a little bit. So looking at your courses, and are the courses you're taking fit the requirements for the colleges? So for many colleges, if you meet the graduation requirements for the state of Ohio, you are fine. Again, it's mainly selective schools or sometimes majors, and selective majors like architecture may require some additional coursework for you. So doing that research now so you keep all your options open. We talked a little bit about grade point average. So if you research at your colleges and see what those average GPAs are, you may want to decide that you may have to buckle down a little bit this junior year. I'm going to use the example. I had a student with a 1.9 GPA and didn't realize you had to have a 2.3 to be admitted to Cleveland State. Again, senior year, you're not going to be able to increase your grade point average to do that. Junior year, you can. What about preparing for these tests? So I mentioned already about the PSAT. What a lot of folks don't realize is your junior year, that PSAT test is also a ticket to scholarship money. It is the qualifying test for the National Merit Scholarship. So NMSQT stands for National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. And it opens the doorway to quite a bit of scholarship money for students if they test well enough. How good is well enough? Well, it's the top 5% of test takers that day. So I can't give you a specific number, but preparing and familiarizing yourself with these standardized tests are going to help you perform better. College Now is offering a series of virtual boot camps. It's free for students throughout the summer. So if you're interested, definitely please check that out. What about the cost of college? So a lot of students don't start worrying about how they're going to pay for college until the end of their senior year. Scholarships are a great way to do that. We already talked about volunteering, but researching scholarships will help you find ways to be able to afford your dream schools. One of your best allies is your school counselor. They've walked this road a number of times with hundreds of students. They're a great resource. They're going to be able to tell you if you're on track, especially with your academics. Make sure they know your plan. Plus, when you're a senior, they're going to have to write a letter of recommendation potentially for you, depending on the schools you're applying for. So developing that relationship. A lot of 9th and 10th graders just see their counselor for a few minutes for registering for classes. Now's the time to start deepening that relationship and making sure they know what you're thinking about. And then the same is true of teachers. Senior teachers are often asked to write letters of recommendations, and I often see them say no because they've just met you. Most students are applying to college in September and October of their senior year, so they've only had you for about a month and a half. So making sure that you're strengthening your connections with teachers so that they know who you are and they can write you a good letter of recommendation. Junior teachers are great at writing letters of recommendation, so making sure you know that moving forward. Okay, I'm going to let Tori talk about and share how that's a lot of things to do. So he's going to help us kind of make it a little bit less overwhelming and give us some steps to master this.
Thanks, Kathy. So as she transfers over to me sharing, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Tori Stroud, and I work with the Effective Leadership Academy. We are an educational nonprofit, and what you see here is our mission statement. I'm going to pull that back up. That's the background on my screen. Oh, Calvin and Hobbes. Here we are. And I just want to double check to make sure. Kathy, can you see my screen? The slideshow? All right, perfect. So this is our mission statement, and everything we do falls underneath this statement. Everything we do supports this statement, and our main goal is just to help students and adults alike turn potential into performance by developing their most valuable asset. And we say that's yourself because you always have you. We've all seen examples of people pour all of their efforts into other people or money or opportunities or what have you, and inevitably they fail, but you always have yourself, right? So if you take the time to make yourself valuable, invest in yourself, make yourself awesome and skillful, you will be okay. That's our philosophy. It doesn't mean you won't meet hardship or obstacles or even failure at times, but you'll be able to overcome that. So that's what we do. We take time to invest in people and bring out the best in them. So today I want to talk to you about what we call Go Smart goal setting. And I want to start by saying that this is not our method. We did not come up with this. This is a scientific method that's tried and true. Fortune 500 companies use this. Professional athletes use this. All kinds of successful leaders in the world today use this goal setting method. So we want to give this to young people, adults, everybody. We want to teach this method. And when we say SMART, we don't mean intelligent. It's just the acronym that we use to spell out all the steps. So I'll go through that with you right now. And each step along the way, I'll get a little more specific. But the first thing is just writing down your goal. Just by writing your goal down, studies show that you are twice as likely to achieve that goal than when you would just keep it in your head. So just simply write it down. Write it on a Post-it note, put it in your bathroom. I've seen some people make a background on their computer, so every time they turn it on, their goal is right there staring them in the face. Write it down somewhere where you can see it, and you're already twice as likely to achieve it. Now we're going to take you a little further. The handout section that Kathy mentioned earlier, this is in there. This is what we pass out to our students when we work with them. You can download it, print it out, and use it to write your goals, or you can just remember the acronym. After a while, you remember it, and you can just write it anywhere. All right, so the goal that we're going to talk about today is managing time better, because it's a really weird time, right? A lot of us are working from home. A lot of us are doing and participating in school from home. So whereas before we had somewhere between 6 to 8 to even 10 hours a day managed for us, right? There were bell schedules, there was work schedules, class schedules. That's all gone, and we all are left to kind of manage our time on our own. So we have to come up with a better way to manage it, or any way to manage it, because some of us have never done this before. We've always relied on other people. So that's why I thought I'd take the time to talk about this goal and use it as an example today while we go through the Go Smart method. But you can use this method obviously on any goal. All right, so we said by writing it down, you are twice as likely to achieve it. So boom, there we go. Now, though, we want to talk about obstacles. The O in Go Smart is obstacles. We want to write down anything that would stop us from achieving our goal, from getting to the finish line. So these are some obstacles that are obstacles for myself, but also common for a lot of people, right? And if you're not into video games, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's books, maybe it's exercise, sports, watching sports, playing sports, whatever. There's endless amount of obstacles out there that stop us from doing things. Even things like anxiety, just being tired, getting frustrated. Those are obstacles. We need to write them down. The more obstacles we write down, the more likely that when they get to us, we can overcome them. So we have to identify them. Don't be afraid to label it. Don't let that fear take over and be like, oh, I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want it to kind of creep in. Studies actually show if you identify your fear or your obstacle and you write it down, you are so much more likely to overcome it. And then obviously anything that's unexpected, that's an obstacle. Assignments come up, accidents happen, things like that. So we need to list all of our obstacles, and I'll go through later with the rest of the acronym how we can overcome some of those obstacles in our planning phase. All right, so the S in our Go Smart is specific. We need to be as specific as possible. Experts say that it needs to be so specific that someone that doesn't even know what your goal is could pick it up and know all the directions on how to complete that goal. So where I usually like to start is by answering the question how. If you answer the question how, you're probably being specific. So my first goal was just to manage my time better. I didn't tell you how I was going to do it, so not very specific. So here I've outlined some of ideas how to make my goal more specific. I'm gonna have all my assignments scheduled in a planner or an agenda by Monday mornings at 10 a.m. And I'm also going to set time aside for unexpected events. So boom, right there, we've already kind of built in a way to overcome an obstacle. You know, so when accidents happen, we're ready for it. We have time built in for that. We don't try to maybe maximize all in one day. We leave some leeway there for those unexpected things. All right, the M in our acronym is measurable. We have to have a way to be able to check to see if we are getting closer to our goal or getting farther away, right? If we have no idea what kind of progress we're making, we don't know if our plan is good enough. So we have to see, hey, if we're getting closer to the goal, absolutely keep on with that plan. But if we are staying still or possibly even getting further away from our goal, well, yeah, then we want to stop and find a new way to do that. So that's why we need a way that's built in to measure to see if we're getting closer or not. So my measurable check here is to check my planner on Fridays. and see how close my plan was to what actually happened. If you get to the end of the week and what happened was pretty darn close to what you actually planned out, then I guess you're planning pretty well and you can keep on going. But maybe you get to Friday and be like, man, my week was nothing close to what I wrote down. Well, then we just have to make a new plan, that's all, so that we can get close to that goal. So make sure our goals are measurable. The next two we lump together because these are up to you. Only you can answer these questions. Is it achievable or is it realistically high? That's up to you. No one else can answer that question for you. If it's achievable, you need to look inside, self-reflect, answer that for yourself. Can I really do this? Be honest with yourself, but also hold yourself accountable. The realistically high part, we call this the Goldilocks Role because we don't want to set a goal that's too low. If we can already achieve something, that's just a to-do list, right? Buying groceries, we can do that already. That's a to-do list. It's not a goal. A goal is something we have to reach for, but we also want to set a goal that's so high that we get frustrated and quit, or set a goal that's so high that it's actually impossible. So we want to make sure we're reaching for our goals, but we also want to make sure that it's realistic. So you got to find that just right portion, right? That's why we call it the Goldilocks Rule. Not too low, not too high, just right. Lastly, time. We have to put a time on our goals. If we don't put a time on it, it's just a dream. Dreams are great to motivate us, but dreams only happen in our head. They only happen in our and when we're sleeping, right? They're not real. But once we take a goal and put a time on it, we take it from our dream into reality. Give yourself a deadline to accomplish this by. Once again, this is all backed up by sociological studies that show that setting these methods of the goal will help you achieve that. So set a time, take it from your dream to your reality, and that's what's going to kind of kickstart you. Lastly, the first goal that I wrote down was I want to improve my time management. Now look at the screen. We've really expanded upon that. Goals probably should be about a paragraph. I know that sounds crazy maybe to some of you, but it needs to be long. We need to be specific. We need to plan for obstacles. We need to cover all those aspects of the Go Smart goal setting. So we went from I want to improve my time management to I will improve time management by having all my assignments scheduled in my planner by Monday mornings at 10 a.m., including time set aside for unexpected events and video games. I will check my planner on Fridays to see how well the plan worked, and I will have my first week plan by Sunday, August 30th. So you can see how we took one kind of unspecific, vague goal and made it specific and followed all the rest of those SMART acronym parts and made it to what it is now. This is what you can do while you enter into your junior year. And all those goals that Kathy talked about, start planning them out with this Go Smart method. And once again, that handout is there for you to download, or you can look it up. Like I said, it's not just Effective Leadership Academy that uses this. Tons of people use the SMART goal setting method because it's proven, it's tried, it's true. My first piece of advice to you would be to start with something small that you can see progress in, or that you can fully accomplish in about 2 weeks or less. Once you master the Go Smart method with the small goal, then you can start applying it to those bigger goals. Like, hey, I want to get into John Carroll University. I want to become a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, whatever it is you want to do. So start with those small goals and then apply it to the bigger ones. That's all I had, and I'm going to kick it back to Kathy now. But once again, my name was Tori with the Effective Leadership Academy, and I wish you all the best in this next upcoming school year, because it might be a little different, but embrace that change and use the Go Smart goal setting technique and you'll be all right. Let me shift it back over to Kathy now. Kathy, do you have the control back? Are you good, Kathy, or do I need to click? We can't hear you.
Well, there we go. Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for saying that. Okay. And then here it is. So just to take us home, I want to talk a little bit about summertime. So especially this summer, because I think a lot of students are going to have some additional free time. So there are still enrichment programs going on. They're going to be happening virtually. I received an email the other day from Tri-C. They have an arts academy that's going to be happening virtually. I know Effective Leadership Academy, I believe, is going to be having some virtual opportunities going on. There are going to be things, in College Now is trying to compile what those are going to be so that we can share them out. But what's really exciting is, as you're preparing for your senior year, there are lots of opportunities at colleges. I know traditionally University of Toledo has a one-week pharmacy camp. Ohio State has a vet camp. So lots of things that you can be exploring using the resources that you have to find them out. Your College Now advisor at your school would be a great resource to connect with that can help connect you with these types of opportunities. So please be sure to reach out to them if you're not sure what's available. College Now is sponsoring those virtual test prep opportunities through the summer. Oftentimes libraries partner with College Now, and they also use some other organizations for test prep. So researching that, signing up and doing them, it's great. Most of them are only a 1 week long opportunity, and you learn lots of strategies and tips and tricks to do better on these tests. Again, volunteering, it's going to be a challenge with social distancing, but there is that dosomething.org website. There are other ways. It's a great way to not only experience a career field, but to help build your resume and make you eligible for some potential scholarships. This kind of connects to test preps. So reading is a great way to build your vocabulary. So it doesn't matter really what you read, just that you read. It's going to help you perform better on these standardized tests. So read over the summer. I know some students think they might be allergic to reading, but it's a great way to escape and go into a different world and to challenge yourself academically. And reading for fun is so much more different than reading for a course. Hobbies and activities. So remember that one question I had earlier, very beginning, if you had an hour to spend, how would you spend that? I have a 9th grader right now, and one of his goals for the summer is to learn how to play the guitar because he really enjoys music and thinks that would be a great thing. So find a hobby or an activity that might help you be able to explore one of your careers. Sometimes those career assessments that I mentioned at the beginning on Ohio Means Jobs, My Next Move will suggest some hobbies that might help you discover if a career's a fit for you. It's a great way to again decide if you really enjoy something or if that's not really for me. Your resume. So the very first session, someone's like, when should I start my resume? If you haven't started it yet, I'm going to say today. So again, My Next Move, Ohio Means Jobs, and Naviance have tools to help you keep track of your resume. Troy, I don't know if you can hop on. You gave a really good suggestion, the other presentation of how you've kept track of your resume. So Tori's suggestion was using a Twitter account and posting things as he did that, just so he had that record. But keeping track of what you've been doing and then updating that as you move through your high school career is going to make senior year so much easier for you, whether you're deciding to go to college or apply for jobs. Resumes are really a key tool. Visit campuses, explore your choices in terms of majors and post-secondary education. Actually, right now, College Now has a virtual college visit contest going on. And again, hopefully you've received an email from your advisor, but please check that out. It only goes till next Friday, and you can win gift cards. It's a great way to start trying things on again and seeing what schools would be a good fit for you. And then make sure you share with your family what you're thinking about. We talked about talking to your school counselor and talking to your teachers. You want to have that open dialogue. Your parents are a wonderful resource. They have friends, they're in clubs, They know other professionals in a wide variety of fields. You don't want to have the conversation in the spring of your senior year about what you plan on doing next fall. You want to start that now, so again, they can help be a resource for you to figure everything out. We're going to take a pause here. And Tamika, do we have any questions?
We have 2.
Okay, yay.
So the first question reads, does 1 F matter even if you pass the course? The crisis that we are having now has been really hard on the grades. So a student wants to know if if he or she gets 1 F, will it make a difference? Because of what's going on now, they are slacking a little bit.
So all the colleges are going to see, they're not going to see like a report card snapshot. On your transcript, it's basically the final grade for the year in that course. So if you're talking about an F and a quarter, maybe this last 4th quarter, it was really challenging for you to do remotely. You needed one-on-one instruction and weren't able to get the help. That isn't going to make a big difference. I'm also going to share that I know the Common App right now is building in a way for students to explain with the current online remote learning, a way for students to explain the challenges they face during this time. So I think a lot of folks are going to be understanding about that, especially if you typically were a ABC student and all of a sudden grades went down. It is important for you to do research so that you know your options. So 1 F isn't going to make a difference, but multiple Fs will. So you want to make sure that you're doing what you can to boost your grade point average up, and that if you're getting Fs, kind of taking a step back and reflecting why. Were you not doing the homework? Were you doing poorly on tests? Is there a way for you to reach out with your school counselor to maybe get some tutoring and academic assistance? So you want to make sure that if you have gotten more than 1 F, that you're doing what you can do to turn that around for yourself. And there are steps you can take. And again, your College Now advisor can help connect you with some resources too, not only in the community, but at your school specifically. So they can help make sure, bridge that gap for you with your counselor to make sure you get the resources that you need.
Okay, next question, part 2 of that question. Even if you don't pass the AP exam, will taking the class and passing it still put you at a greater advantage for college?
Yeah, so AP honors and College Credit Plus courses are weighted. So an B in an AP course is an equivalent to an A in a regular course. So one, helps boost your grade point average. 2, it shows colleges that you're willing to challenge yourself. And that, again, sometimes helps you stand out in your college application. So if you don't earn the score that you want, it is going to help you in terms of college admissions. So again, I think it's a great way to get yourself ready for the rigor of college.
And as of right now, Kathy, that's it as far as the questions.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to one more slide here. So we've been talking a lot about connecting with folks. If you don't know who your College Now advisor is in your school, or if you do have additional questions, here are some ways that you can connect with us. We mentioned, and I'm sorry, if I was thinking I would have put the handout in our handouts about that virtual college visit contest. You know, if any of the things we mentioned you want additional information about, please feel free to email us. Are there any more final questions?
Yes. 2. It states, if I'm considering taking CCP classes, would you recommend taking classes that are required but not related to my field, or taking classes that are related to the field of my interests? Not sure what I should do first.
So that is an awesome question. If you take classes in your field, you would want to maybe, if your goal is to explore the career and see if it's a good fit for you, it's an awesome, safe way to do that. Not every course transfers to the next level of university in the same way. It may only count as an elective and not as a course in your major. So if you're thinking that the College Credit Plus would save you time and make your path go a little bit quicker, it will, but may not in the way that you're thinking of it. So you would have to investigate that. And again, the counselors at the colleges would help you figure that out. Most public universities have general education requirements, and those basic courses would, at a community college, would knock those off at a public university. So if your main goal of taking College Credit Plus is to save yourself time for a 4-year degree, I would maybe focus on those general education requirements, those basic courses that most colleges require. However, if your goal is experience and trying out new things and growth, taking something that's in your area of interest is a good way to do that. Neither choice would hurt you.
Okay. The questions are coming in, Kathy. What is Tri-C doing in place of their CCP placement testing? I applied right before all of this stuff happened. I don't have an ACT or SAT score. Are they accepting people just based off of their GPA?
Okay. They are looking at, so they have placement tests, Alex for math, and I'm trying to remember the name of the one for English, that you can take. A lot of schools are moving to where you can take those online so that you don't have to go in. If you connect, most colleges have a College Credit Plus coordinator. I think it's also super important that you connect with your school counselor and make sure you've turned in all the paperwork to be eligible for College Credit Plus. So I guess the first thing I would do is confirm with my school counselor that I've done everything at my local school level to be able to register for College Credit Plus courses. And they probably will know the answer too about placement tests. So a lot of schools are moving those placement tests to where you can do it remotely. One, it's a great way to figure out if that's a career field for you. A lot of districts, including, I believe, Parma's, I'm sure Parma's, you can earn through your vocational program college credits by passing those tests at the end of the year. So it's a good way to earn college credit. So rigorous courses will help you, again, making sure that you have the grades and the test scores for the colleges you're thinking of. So I'm not going to blanketly say that any course is going to help you get into college, but it's a good piece of the puzzle, and that is considered a rigorous program at Normandy. So it would be an advantage, especially because it lets you try on that career and lets you know now whether it's a good field for you or not. So what I would do is start researching colleges and make sure that you understand the grade point average, because it is a challenging course and some students struggle with that. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to perform well in that course. So your grade point average gives you lots of options.
Okay. Next, Do you know if CCP classes give you accommodations if you are on an IEP?
So most schools, it's called the Student Success Office at Tri-C, and they would work with your school counselor to make sure that you have those accommodations for your college course. So yes, if you have a school IEP, when you go to college, it's up to you to ask for those accommodations and to do the legwork. It doesn't happen automatically like it has for you in middle and high school. So you want to make sure that you're going to have to be an advocate for yourself. But making sure that your school counselor remembers that you're on an IEP and that you need to have those accommodations for College Credit Plus courses. But it is something that every college is familiar with and is able to put in place for students. You just need to ask for it though.
Okay, I think that's about it, Kathy.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us again. Keep your eyes out. There are going to be more presentations throughout the summer. Next week, the focus of our presentations are going to be the class of 2020 and helping them get ready for their transition to college. But we do have that virtual college visit contest going right now. And it's a lot of fun and you can win some fun prizes. And we're going to be having more workshops in June and July. And if you're interested in test prep, the boot camps, the virtual boot camps are going to be a great way to get a start on that. So thank you for attending this evening. And if you have any questions, please, you can email info@collegenowgc.org, or that is our main phone number at College Now, and we can get you connected with the advisor at your school.